¿vale?
Y quedó todo, se me venido una stream más del canal de Mago, en ese stream vas a estar jugando Fortnite como siempre, ya saben. Um, se le veo algo ya. Para que escuchen el juego. Yep. Yepa, gente, ahí está. Vamos a bajar un poco, está muy alto. Sí, ¿no? Tiene ping. Sorprendente. Mi drop es súper malo. Y se dejan de decir, no, bro, buenísimo tu drop porque estuviste súper bajo. Súper bajo porque voy a llegar aquí. Y las personas van a llegar aquí y tienen mejores armas. Puedo ir por ese cofre, pero... Minis y violeta ahí adentro. Pues aquí es lo que hay acá. Bueno, no me esperaba eso. Una de carga, en serio. Por cierto, las personas que no me conocen bien, o de las personas, las armas que tienes que esperar para disparar, o sea, las odio con todo mi corazón. Por eso no me gusta. Ahí vieron por qué no me gusta esa arma. Es que son de carga y... Pues, ¿qué les puedo decir? A mí no me gusta que las personas sean así. Aquí les recomiendo... Solo marqué eso porque sé que para saber dónde están las cosas, ¿no? Ahí viene un vato, ahí viene un vato. Ahí viene un vato a molestarme la vida. Como ya es costumbre. Le di, ¿vieron? ¿Vieron? Le di en toda la plena cabeza y no se murió. Por eso odio esta arma. Odio con todo mi corazón. Puta madre. Ajá, odio esa arma. ¿Qué hice mal ahí? Creo que lo malo fue que no puse con la vertical, ¿no? Porque sé que mi puntería es mala y igual fui a pushear. Eso fue mal. Pues ya no voy a intentar pushear con eso. Creo que tengo que ir aprendiendo, o sea, a pushear. Claro que hay que pushear inteligentemente, ¿no? Y creo que hay que pushear. Pues que la mayoría de las personas tienen 20, 30 de ping, mientras que yo juego que me bajó 70. Bastante ping. Mira, vamos a ir a... Aquí, digamos. Para tener un buen drop, vamos a ir aquí. Bro, o sea... No, bro. Tenía uno de vida. Uno de vida, man. No, bro, qué asco. Es que... O sea, bro, flip. Bueno, gente. Momento quilombo, eh. Vamos a ver. Ok, muchas personas van a ir ahí, pero yo ¿a dónde voy? Voy a ir a campo, ¿cuál dije? ¿Cuál sería el mejor drop aquí? Sería ir por acá, ¿no? Pero aquí es muy montañoso. Y aquí es más nivel del mar. Pues voy a ir por aquí. Aquí te voy diciendo todo lo que yo pienso. ¿Ya? Solo para que digan, no, es que tú no nos compartes tus experiencias. Ah, bro, flipas. Voy a ir por aquí y ya salió mal mi drop. Demasiado bajo. Miren, las personas están bien alto. Yo apenitas voy a llegar aquí. Pero sí, apenitas. Creo que tengo que dar un brinco de un conejo para... Y esta vez me está retando, what? ¿Vienes a mi vida? Bro, ¿cuál es esa suerte, bro? Me entra, bro. O sea, que... Ok, sí. Anda. Y 14 otros, o sea. Nada, bro, flipas. Voy a poner cómo bajar el ping en Fortnite XD. Cómo bajar el ping en Fortnite PC. Cero de ping.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Y este operador, ustedes deben tener...
Siempre tienen que ver los
También
comentarios.
recuerda que si quieres comprar componentes para PC a muy buen precio, tienda MSI Colombia es tu mejor opción. Síguelos y diles que van a... ¿Cómo hacer? Dice el primer paso.
Aquí voy a ir a campo caligenio, pero ahorita ya voy a tener mucho mejor drop. Otro drop. Otro mal drop. Y me vino un bot y me da un fracaso en la jeta, o sea. Ahí sí me enojo. Digo que este juego es malísimo y si no. Bueno, mi reina. Tremendo gallo. No voy a poder responder rápido porque estoy jugando ahorita. Quise. Y si no, pues hablamos mañana, ¿sí? Que te mejores. Bye. Ah, shit, bro. Oh, la mierda. Me dio un infarto, bro. Casi me muero. O sea, flipé. O sea, era que vean cómo me quedé, mi cara se me queda así. Prácticamente muerto, ¿eh? O sea, lo que este vato no va a esperar es que yo tenga una carga. Ah, bro. No sé si pero este vato está. Eso es lo bueno de la carga. Puedes dar unos escopetazos. Que el vato se queda noqueado en 20 idiomas diferentes. Aquí veo algo. ¿Se ven cómo tiene un cofre, ven? O sea, escuchen ese cofre, ¿verdad? Y no lo encuentro. Se flipan. No encuentro el cofre. ¡Bro, flipas! ¡Flipas, bro! ¡Flipas! ¡Flipas! Bro, flipas, flipas. Oh. Ay, bro, ¿qué es esto? Eso, odio del Fortnite. No entendí. Ay, ya. Ok. Voy a dejar de usar la tactical. Bueno, no la crítica, la de carga porque no me gusta.
Also, guys, these are my settings. I have a lot of people ask about these. I guess you can copy them if you want. Also, just so you know, I don't play in 60 Hz. I actually have G-Sync. But yeah, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do the practice game section. What do we play here? I think we should start off with, let's start off with a box fight. Okay, we've actually, wait, there's multiple people in here? How does this even work? Oh, it's duo fill, bro. It's duo fill. What? They're both taking them.
Yo, these are toxic.
I'm with a random duo fill. I need to lower my game sound. Oh, this is not gonna be good. Oh, okay, now I'm dancing with them. Oh no, I'm actually with the football skin, guys. He looks sweaty. This should be okay. Oh wait, no, we're choosing teams. Oh god, I'm so dumb. Okay, guys, first round here. We had some technical difficulties at the start, but this is a real good. Yo, wait, I just got mad lag spike. What is this guy doing? Oh wait, yeah, this is. Oh my god, bro.
Te demando, ¿eh?
Oh, my game's lagging so hard. What is going on? I'm gonna be so distracted. Oh.
¿Cómo me gustaría tener 0 de ping literal?
I'm 110.
Un 0 de ping así que las personas digan, ¡ah, qué rico 0! Oh, qué quilombo.
Oh my god, he got destroyed. Bro, I got both kills. My teammate's slacking. I got the next round here. My teammate is kind of slacking, I can't lie. Hopefully he carries his weight this round. But guys, I told you I'm not. Yo, what? He's already dead? Okay, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Bro, I'm
Si me
lagging.
quitan el canal por ver un video literal,
Bro, this is not fair. I'm lagging.
flipo, ¿eh? Si alguien quiere practicar, dejen un comentario y pon Martín, quiero practicar. Ese vato está más bajo que... No, bro. Por si acaso, ¿no? Además, estar amigos ya tengo asegurado 100%. Y sí, no les recomiendo que lo rompan de aquí nomás porque... Vamos. Vamos. Eso no muestra que las personas... Tú no sabes dónde están las personas. Yo odio eso, literal. Odio con todo mi corazón. Todas estas ventanas. Hay 3 personas ahí adentro. Batalla. Está en el techo, está en el techo. Aquí. ¿Corrió? ¡Qué verga! Pushéale, no me pushes a mí. ¿Qué hace mi sabrosón? Estoy más... Oh my god. Me dio tantos buenos disparos que estoy más muerto que qué. ¿Cuántas veces? O sea, bro. O sea, sí, es que no amanezco bien. Agente, ok, ahora sí voy por posicionamiento máximo.
Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to talk about how you can dominate an arena in Chapter 2 Season 4. Just like with every new season, arena points have been reset, meaning we're all forced to grind back to champs. The big difference, however, is that we're currently in Fortnite Season 14. The game has completely changed from the one we're used to in the last few seasons. There's new locations on the map, new mythic abilities, as well as a whole new meta we have to adapt to. In addition to that, Epic actually added a global arena leaderboard you can view on their website. This is the perfect way to make a name for yourself and to show off your hard work. Therefore, my goal, as it always has been, is to help you guys achieve your goals. I'll be sharing all the strategies I learned from the top arena players that I know for a fact will help you gain more than 1,000 arena points per day. They're seriously that useful and Papagerian approved. So sit back, relax,
¿Qué
and
luces?
as this is my ultimate arena guide for Chapter 2 Season 4. Usually in my arena videos, before I get into the actual tips and tricks, I begin by covering the point system. I talk about the points or hype you get for playing placement, the points you get for an elimination, and then based on the format, I advise you to either W key or play for placement. Well, Epic has not changed the way arena works in more than 3 seasons now. I kinda thought they would this season because they added a new leaderboard, but Epic is Epic, and they just do not care about fixing it. Feels bad, man. Regardless, all you need to know is that it still takes 6,000 hype to reach Champions League, you get 20 hype for elimination, and placement is still the way to go. Now, onto the actual strategies. Let's start with the most important part of the match, the early game. For like the past 6 or so seasons, I've constantly been preaching how RNG the early game is. From random people landing on you to not finding shields, I've never been a fan of the beginning of a match. I guess Epic must have known this, and they purposely wanted to spite me because they did the unthinkable and they changed chest spawn rates. Yes, you heard that correctly. Epic went in the wrong direction and reverted 100% chest spawn rates. I'm not gonna lie, this is the single worst part of the new season. I really enjoy the new season, and I think it's one of the best Epic has put out in a while, but the fact that chests do not always spawn ruins it for me. Regardless, enough of my complaining, we need to adapt and deal with it. One tip which I did mention in my tips and tricks video from the other day is to stop landing on potential chest spawns. There's just way too much RNG with chests. What you should do instead is land on floor loot or land on a chest that you can see. Both of these strategies heavily reduce your potential bad RNG and decrease the chance you find weapons and or shield. Like, just think about it. Would you rather land on a green tack SMG you see in a floor loot spawn, or would you rather land on the roof of a house where there may or may not be a chest? The obvious answer is the floor loot, since you know it'll actually be there when you land. Another way to reduce your RNG in the early game is to do what a ton of pros are doing by fishing. Fishing is the meta this season for a few different reasons. One is that Epic added a total of 5 new fish, meaning there's 8 different types of fish in total. You have floppers, which heal for 50, shieldfish, which grant 50 shield, slurpfish, which grant 50 health or shield, and jellyfish, which give you 20 health or shield. I know I left out thermal fish, hop floppers, and small fry, but they're not as useful as the others since they don't heal for as much, so I'm not going to include them. Then the second reason fishing is the meta is that boats can explode fishing holes for really good loot. I'm still not sure whether or not this was intended, but it's currently in the game and it's currently overpowered as heck. All you need to do is aim a boat missile at a fishing hole, and when you explode it, you always get 3 items of loot. A pretty crazy strategy that I've been using with this boat trick is to land on a boat off spawn. I kid you not, I will land straight on a boat and utilize all the fishing holes around me.
But Chariot, that's so stupid. How do you get weapons?
Well, little Timmy, at the moment, fishing holes give you blue rarity weapon loot and above. You can get blue burst ARs, blue charged shotguns, blue silenced SMGs, blue snipers, as well as all the 8 different fish I mentioned before. So if you're sick of getting terrible loot off rip due to the chest spawn change, do yourself a favor and incorporate a boat into your looting route. I made an entire video on great solo drop spots with them. None of them are really contested, plus as long as you have the best drop off the battle bus, you're basically guaranteed to win the spot. Second to last aspect of the early game is choosing your loadout. I know a lot of you guys want me to make a shotgun guide video, but I don't really feel like it's necessary. To me, the pump is the king of Season 4. It shoots instantly, unlike the charge, it always does solid damage, and it's reliable. The combat, on the other hand, is absolutely terrible. The thing does 50 damage. I'm not kidding when I say I'd rather have a white pump than a gold combat. That's all you need to hear to know that the combat sucks. As for the charge shotgun, the charge is the same exact weapon it was last season. It's not bad bad per se, especially when you compare the white and green variants to the same rarity pumps. It's just not amazing. Why use a weapon that needs to charge up to do fat damage when you can just use a point and click weapon like the pump, which will hit for just as much or slightly less? Based on that reasoning, I almost always try to side grade from a charge to a pump and or upgrade from a blue pump to a purple pump. The purple and gold pumps are by far the best shotguns in Fortnite Season 4. Speaking of solid weapons in Season 4, I'm also a huge fan of the new Stark Industry energy rifles. These things do crazy damage from far away and remind me a lot of the infantry from Season X. Last thing I wanted to say regarding the loot pool is that this season is the season of utility. You have bouncers, crash pads, shockwave grenades, boogie bombs, porta fortresses. You have all the utility you could ever want to make it to the mid game. I suggest you all utilize as much of them as you can, especially the boogie bombs because they're broken. To get and to set yourself up for the later stages of the match. To finish up my strategies for the early game, I briefly want to remind you guys where to rotate to. When I say the early game, I'm referring to the time from when you drop off the battle bus to the second that the first circle fully closes in. My recommendation for where to rotate to is the dead side of the first circle. Not the center of it, the dead side. If you don't know what dead side is by now, then you seriously deserve to get smacked. In game, of course. Seriously though, the dead side of circle is the half of the zone where the least amount of people are rotating in from. Here's an example I found on Reddit from a user named Tap that's a little old. Nonetheless, it does a great job of explaining the dead side. As you can see, CS at the top stands for congested side and DS on the bottom stands for dead side. The congested side is the top half of the circle because the first safe zone went south. This means that everyone from the northern part of the map is going to be forced to rotate in, which Tap shows with the yellow lines, while everyone on the south side of the map can just chill, leaving the whole bottom side of the circle dead. Oh, and before I forget, Tap drew a pink line to show where the player he spectated, who I believe landed Dirty Docks, should rotate for the first zone. That path he drew would lead him to the dead side and guarantee he makes it to the mid game. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Moving on to the mid game, and as long as you follow my strategies, this should be the easiest part of the match. The mid game is the time from the second zone starts to when the fifth zone fully closes in. It's also all about rotating. By the time you get to the mid game, you should already have a solid loadout, good mats, and be on the dead side. All you need to do is make smart rotations, and you will easily make it to the late game. Here's my mid game zone guide. For the second circle, just like the first one, you want to rotate to the dead side. The dead side of the second zone is extremely easy to reach if you made it to the dead side of the first one. This is because the second zone will always be inside the first, thus no matter where the second zone goes, you should have a really free rotate from the dead side. Also, just in case you guys want to know, the dead side is where you can fight people without getting third partied, so for all of you maniacs looking to fight people, do it on the dead side. Anyways, after the second zone closes in, you want to rotate to the center of the third circle. This is the first zone you're prioritizing getting to the middle of. You still want to keep the dead side in mind, but positioning at the middle of the third zone will set you up really well for the fourth one. Why is that? Well, for the fourth zone, the optimal position is the edge of it. Therefore, by putting yourself at the center of the third circle, you'll have the shortest rotate to the edge of the fourth zone, since the fourth zone will always be inside the third. I'm sorry if this is a little confusing, I get it can be a lot. Trust me though, once you get it down, it is really easy to remember. To reiterate, first and second circles, play the dead side. Third circle, rotate to the center of, because that will give you the shortest rotation to the fourth circle, which you want to stay at the edge of. Finally, fifth circle is the half and half one, meaning it is half outside the zone and half inside of it. For the fifth circle and all the ones after it, they technically count towards the late game, by the way. You want to get to the dead side if you can, but if you can't, just get inside the zone. It's much more important to stay alive than anything else. The only important thing you need to know about the fifth zone is how it influences your position in the fourth. The fourth zone, the one you're staying at the edge of, is essentially a gamble for getting the fifth zone half and half. You could easily position at the center of the fourth circle if you wanted to, however, you'd be forced to rotate regardless of where it went. We do not want that. We want to take the chance of getting inside or really close to the fifth zone, that way we're not always forced to rotate. Last note I have for the mid game is to remind you guys that launch pads have been removed. Launch pads were the best way to rotate for half and half zone, and now they are officially gone. Don't cry too much though, because you still have shockwaves, bouncers, spicy fish, and crash pads. All of them are extremely useful to rotate, and I advise you to use as many as you have to stay alive for the late game. The late game in Arena is arguably the most straightforward part of the match. Your goal is to stay alive, rack up kills, and not die. Arena endgames are also not really that stacked, so you're not going to have crazy tournament level lobbies. Still, it is good to know some strategies. In terms of actual tips and tricks, my biggest piece of advice is to stay on a good lair. A lair is essentially the vertical level you are tunneling on. Some examples are high ground, which is the best lair to be on, as well as ultimate low ground, which is the ground itself. There's nothing wrong with not being on high ground, but there is an issue with staying on a bad lair. A bad lair is one with way too many people on it. These lairs are what get you guys killed because you'll have 3 different people spraying at you or trying to get into your box. Do your best to avoid bad lairs and always build up or down to get onto a new one. Then my other late game tip is to remember to pressure your opponents. Way too many of you guys only focus on getting to zone and staying alive. That's not a bad thing, but going for eliminations will actually help you stay alive longer. Now that launch pads are gone, you're gonna need a few kills to refresh your map. Nobody has enough materials or utility to win the game without any elims. Not to mention, this is also the best time to go for kills. I've advised you guys to play the entire match extremely passively, just trying to make it to endgame. Guess what? You are finally there. This is your time to pop off and rack up a bunch of elims on everyone with half HP. Go make Papa Jerry proud. Overall, boys and girls, that is how to get more than 1,000 arena points per day. Let me know down below which strat was your favorite, as well as any I may have left out. On top of... Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to give some tips on how to win more fights in Arena. I feel like it's been a while since I made a proper advice video. I'm talking about no face cam, some of my own background gameplay, and of course, really useful strategies. The reason it's kind of taken me this long to cover this topic, I've been waiting like a month or so, is because I used to struggle a lot with winning fights myself. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still not a godlike fighter. I'll always be a content creator noob deep down. However, as a lot of you may have noticed from my tournament videos, my fighting skills have gotten a lot better. They went from a glaring weak point to one of my better attributes in both solos and team game modes. So, how did I do it? Well, that's what I'll be discussing today. I'll be covering everything from general advice to specific in-game tricks that I do not see anyone else talk about. None of these pros want to expose their techniques, I guess. Thus, without further ado, let's get right on into it. The first and the biggest thing that's helped me win more fights is optimizing my piece control. Piece control is and has been the meta in Fortnite Battle Royale. If you don't piece control your opponents, then you're just not going to win any fights. What's interesting about piece control in Season 5 is the fact that everyone knows what it is. Well, maybe not everyone, Zexro, but most decent players have a good grasp on how piece control works. They know what a high wall is, they know how to box their opponents like a fish, they even know advanced tricks like the calc cone. Therefore, it's no longer become about knowing more piece control than your opponent. Like, do you think pro players kill other pros because they know more about piece control? Of course not. That's ridiculous. The actual reason they're winning fights is because their piece control is more optimal. Do you see the difference? Rather than relying on knowing more piece control strats than their opponent, something that may have worked in Chapter 2 Season 2, they're succeeding because their piece control is better. Their crosshair placement is more efficient, their edits are faster, their their brain is working quicker. Obviously, playing on low ping does help as well. You're not going to out-piece control someone on hard zero ping. Again though, the majority of it comes down to how well optimized your piece control is. One really good example of this concept is editing with your blueprints out. I never used to do this at all. Whether it was in creative or real games, I would always swap to my pickaxe in between edits. Well, this is not optimal for improving your piece control. You see, while it does help you pre-edit less, editing with your pickaxe through weapon out actually makes you slower at piece control. Just think about it. Let's say you're running to the side and you want to place a wall, edit it open, and then box up your opponent. If you get yourself into the habit of only editing with your blueprints out, then that entire sequence will only be 3 actions. Place the wall, edit the wall with your wall build still out, aka your blueprints out, and finish with the full box. On the other hand, if you edit with your pickaxe, that same piece control sequence will be slower. You'll build your wall, swap to your pickaxe, then edit it open and box up your opponent. Trust me, I know swapping to your pickaxe only takes a few milliseconds, especially since nobody fully waits for it to come out. However, those few milliseconds when you're swapping to your gun or your pickaxe, instead of leaving your blueprints out and editing, could easily be the reason your opponent establishes piece control themselves and prevents you from killing them. That is the power of blueprint editing in relation to your piece control.
Oh yeah.
Another really helpful example / tip, which I actually learned from Epic Whale, is to make more efficient edits. This concept is very similar to the last one, since the end goal is establishing piece control first. That's the whole point of optimizing your piece control and is what has helped me become a better fighter. Back to what I was saying though, you can usually establish piece control first just by simplifying your edits. I see way too many people, including myself a lot, make the most complex and big edits prior to making a play. This really does not matter too much if your opponent is not directly on top of you, but it matters a lot when you're using a piece control technique. Let's use that same example from before of building a wall to the side of your opponents one by one, editing it open, and boxing them like a fish. By the way, we've already established blueprint editing is way more optimal for piece control. Well, what about your crosshair placement and the edit itself? Wouldn't it be way faster to make a side window edit than to make a bottom or top corner edit? You're only editing one tile in comparison to 3 or potentially 4 if you're a madman who goes for a bottom arch edit. Now, don't get me wrong, this obviously won't apply to every single edit you make or every single fight you get into. That's not the point of this example. The reason I chose to include it is because it's something you need to think about in regards to optimizing your piece control. Just as you optimize your crosshair placement to edit faster, you need to do the same exact thing before establishing piece control. The more efficient edit you make, the faster you can place your builds, and the more piece control you will establish. If you don't do these things, then I'm gonna be honest, you're just not gonna succeed in Chapter 2. Now, don't get me wrong, this obviously won't apply to every single edit you make or every single fight you get into. That's not the point of this example. The reason I chose to include it is because it's something you need to think about in regards to optimizing your piece control. Just as you optimize your crosshair placement to edit faster, you need to do the same exact thing before establishing piece control. The more efficient edit you make, the faster you can place your builds, and the more piece control you will establish. If you don't do these things, then I'm gonna be honest, you're just not gonna succeed in Chapter 2 Season 5. You're also going to disappoint Papa Jerry. Don't disappoint me. Before we move on to the next section, I quickly want to cover how
Acá arriba.
piece control to win your fight. This is basically my own practice
Por-
routine. First off, you've got to learn piece control techniques. Most of you guys should know the basics of these already. I recommend watching these videos on your screen right now. All of them cover really useful piece control techniques, piece control tricks, and ways to optimize your piece control. After that, the second thing you do is go to the creative mode and practice. Do random height walls, practice making window edits and boxing invisible opponents. Basically, just rebuild while establishing piece control. Third step, almost near the end here, you're gonna remain in creative, except this time you're gonna practice against other people. As important as rebuilding alone is, you always want to step it up a notch and add some stress into the mix. Think of rebuilding alone as no stress practice and 1v1s with your friends, or box fight wagers, zone wars, basically anything with another person as medium stress practice. Therefore, the only thing we have left is high stress practice, which is Arena itself. I've been preaching the benefits of grinding Arena for like 3 seasons now. I told you guys to stop playing scrims. They are literally useless if you cannot consistently qualify for events, and thus to grind Arena. Arena will not only help you improve your piece control, but it will also help you become an overall better fighter. Oh, let me clarify. By playing Arena, I mean W King and fighting everyone. Do not play for placement in Arena. You are not going to become a better fighter that way. In fact, someone who can attest to this is the legend, your fellow Arab. Arab is a pro player that used to play a ridiculous amount of scrims. He would play zone rule scrims, normal elite scrims. He would basically only play for placement while in-game on Fortnite. Do you know what Arab did this season though? He stopped all of that stuff. He committed to only playing in W King and Arena, and as a result, has gotten so much better at fighting. On top of improving his piece control and fighting game sense, he's also been dominating the open round qualifiers of every event. Shout out to my boy Arab. So to kind of sum this section up, having optimized piece control will make you an elite fighter. It's no longer just about being able to piece control or knowing a technique your opponent does not. Rather, it's come down to who can establish it first and the many different tips we just discussed that you can use to do that. Piece control and Arena on top. The next major thing I did to win more fights, even though it's kinda short, I should just rename this vid to be about piece control, was to train my aim. For the past year or so, I really have not trained my aim at all. I just did not have time to while grinding out vids. Then, about a month ago, I decided to increase my sense all the way up to 64 EDPI. Prior to that, I was on 48, 400 DPI, and 0.12 in-game sense, and I then increased it up to 16% or 0.16 in-game sense. I also went to 800 DPI, so I'm technically legally on 8% now. It's still 64 DPI. Regardless, what I noticed was, outside of the fact my mechanics were faster, was that my aim was complete trash. I'm talking butt cheeks on a stick, nearly Zexor level, not quite that bad. It was not good though. Therefore, to get my aim back on track, I started aim training and slowly practicing on my aim. I used in-game aim trainers such as Scavix by Don Wozy, and I also used third-party aim trainers such as Kovacs.
But Jarian, I've seen your aim. It obviously didn't work.
To be completely honest with you guys, my aim is still not my strong suit. I've definitely improved it over the past few weeks or so. It's just not at a pro level, hence why I'm making such a big deal out of it. If you have elite level aim, you're going to win a lot more fight than players like me. In fact, you don't even need godlike piece control if your aim is good. You can just win every 50-50 fight, since that's kinda how 1v1s work in this meta. We can all blame the tac shotgun for that. And yes, I know I'm cracking jokes, but I am actually serious. Nobody can stop you if your aim is good. Have you ever noticed how pro players make fights look really easy? They can drop 20 kills in arena like it's nothing and make everyone look like a bot. The reason for that is not just because of their building and editing. Most creative warriors probably have better mechanics than them. What the creative warriors lack, however, and what the pros have, is consistently superior aim and way better fighting skills. Thus, to kind of put all of what I just said together, start training your aim. Your aim and your aim alone can easily carry you through fights. Please, boys and girls, do not be like me and neglect it. I spent so much time trying to improve my editing and my building that I ultimately forgot to practice what was really important, my close and long range aim. Mainly my close range shotgun aim. Feels bad, man. Overall, guys, those are the main tips I have to help you become a better fighter. For a quick recap, even though I kind of just did one, make sure to optimize your piece control, practice your aim, and grind W keying in arena. The more fights you get into, the better you'll become. So again, just practice. Oh yeah, and since I know people are gonna ask this in the comments, there's not really one routine I can give you with a set amount of drills and a time limit that will be the best for everyone. That's just not how it works. Some of you need to spend way more time being creative, just perfecting your mechanics, making sure you're not going to mess up any edits, and practicing actual piece control techniques. Others who have that stuff down already, I'm kind of at that point. We need to spend way more time in arena itself and practicing it on other players. Do not just blindly follow my routine or someone else's routine, because a lot of the time it will not help you. You need to practice efficiently and do what works for you. I'm sorry, but you gotta put the big boy pants on for this one and figure out what you gotta do. I can't hold your hand anymore. Additionally, if you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code Jarian. You guys are truly the real MVPs. I actually forgot to put any names on the screen in my last video. Sorry for that. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.
Vamos a rescatarlos del hambre, llevando alimentos todos los días a las familias que más lo necesitan. Que no haya ningún niño llorando porque no pudo alimentarse. Que no existe una madre o un padre de familia que no pueda proveer de lo más básico a su hogar.
Voy, ya voy, perdón, ya estoy aquí, bendición.
Pero si está bien bonita,
Gracias. Perdón que no estoy ahí compartiendo con ustedes.
No vale, hija. Si gracias a ti es que podemos hacer esta parrilla y reunirnos. Yo estoy viéndote y eso me tiene contento porque estamos siempre.
Hi guys, so for this video, I'm going to be talking about how to counter piece control. Yep, you heard that correctly. The piece control man himself is going to talk about how to counter it. I got this idea from the piece control master Slight, who I actually reacted to a few weeks ago. He made a really good video on how to win more fights. I'll link it below, definitely go check it out. So I wanted to expand on it myself. Basically what I'm going to do is explain what counter piece control is, show off some really useful tricks for how to utilize it, and finish with the best practice methods. I'm telling you right now, all of these tips and tricks will really help your counter piece control and help you win way more fights in game. Thus, without further ado, let's get right on into it. Now, as I'm sure you all know, piece control is the meta in Chapter 2 Season 4. Not only does it help you win more fights, but it also helps you end fights faster. By the way, if you do not know what piece control is, I'm not going to explain it. I'm simply going to slap you across the face. For legal purposes, that is a joke. Because piece control is currently the meta, we have to be one step ahead of it and gonna slap you across the face. For legal purposes, that is a joke. Because piece
Qué
control
momento quilombo, literal. O sea,
one step ahead of it and find the next meta, aka counter piece control.
But Jack, isn't counter piece control the same thing as normal piece control? You're just taking control of build pieces.
That is a very fair point, Little Timmy. I did not know you were 200 IQ. Seriously though, while they are very similar in theory, they're actually very different in practice. Just think about it. It's kind of like offensive versus defensive box fighting. They're both box fighting, however, they're not the same exact thing. One is when you're outside the box trying to get in and kill your opponent. The other is while you're inside the box trying to survive and also kill the aggressor. When I say the words counter piece control, you can basically think of defensive piece control. This means placing builds to prevent yourself from getting piece controlled, or placing builds to escape a situation in which you've already been piece controlled. Do you see the difference between that and actual piece control? You are not using it to lock down your opponent for an elimination. Rather, you're using it on your opponent to stop them from doing that to you. The simplest and most basic example of counter piece control is a triple edit. Well, not really the edit, but placing those 3 builds. The reason you place those 3 builds is not just to show off. Hopefully all you guys knew that and you weren't just doing it to look cool. They actually serve a very useful purpose for countering piece control. Why building those 3 build pieces and then performing a triple edit is so useful is because by building your own floor, cone, and wall, you're preventing your opponent from building one of those build pieces and therefore establishing piece control on yourself. Had you not gone ahead and built all 3 of those, you'd be giving any half-decent player the opportunity to control the fight. We don't want that because we watch Papa Jarian. We want to use counter piece control, aka building defensively, to stop our opponent from piece controlling on us. One last thing I want to say before I move on to the actual tips and tricks is that while counter piece control is very defensive in nature, it still can be used to help you win fights. Like in this clip right here, Boga uses counter piece control to escape a very sticky situation where he's ADSing in front of his opponent's wall. You see him go to the left, use the grid system to build a box, edit on the guy for a shot, again, use counter piece control, aka the walls he built and edited, to block a shot, and finally exploit into his opponent's box for the elimination. Boga did not use any sort of normal piece control to lock his opponent down. Instead, he used counter piece control to prevent himself from getting boxed up, and utilized that counter piece control to turn his defense into offense. Very nicely done. First counter piece control trick I'll cover is for the most common way people get piece controlled, cones will be bottom or side. So like I just showed, this is for the piece control where you're ramping at your opponent, they cone you off, establish piece control, and you're basically dead. I don't know about you guys, but I think most people in that situation, including me, if they were the ones getting coned, would get coned, look for a way out, but not build. And then they would get piece control, get murdered by Kazaki, who has terrible aim, and they would lose the match. What you guys should be doing, and the counter piece control trick we all need to learn, is anytime you get coned, right away, you need to build a wall to your right or left. It doesn't matter which way. Usually you want it to be where your opponent is not, so he's in the middle, I can go either way. And you want to build a wall as fast as you can. With that wall, you're then going to edit out, do a cone jump, do a cone jump, and boom, not only are you safe and have you countered their piece control, but you're also on high ground and can win the engagement. From your opponent's perspective, they're going to think that they boxed you like a fish, got the cone off, they think they have both walls, when in reality, you're apparently 90ing above them. All you have to do to practice this is just go into creative, start cranking, and as you're at the top of your ramp, cone yourself off. This is going to get you into the habit of being in this awkward situation in which you want to immediately build to your right or left, edit the wall, and cone jump out. Then you can do it again, cone yourself, edit out, cone yourself, other side, cone jump. The better you become at this, and the quicker you become at this, the less likely you're going to get piece controlled in game, and the more fights you're going to win. Second counter piece control trick I'll look at is to prevent getting double piece control during box fights. When I say double piece control, all I mean is cone and flooring your opponent on one side, then just editing it open and killing them. The absolute worst thing you can do in this position is what Kazaki just did, which is edit out to the side without establishing any counter piece control yourself. Any good player who watches Papa Jarian will be able to murder you. Even Kazaki. You may think what you should do is try to get that piece control first, which kind of makes sense, but at the same time, really does not work against any decent player. What you want to do instead of editing to the side is simply turn around from wherever your opponent is, build a ramp, and then make a box the other way. That's going to give you 2 boxes to work with. You have control of much more build pieces. That way, if your opponent continues to pressure you, you can do the same exact thing. Always more piece control, more angles to work with. More angles to work with, and less opportunity for your opponent to piece control you. This is pretty basic, and I did show it in my other video on just useful tricks. Mongrel did it, where after he edits to the second box, he'll edit his ramp back for a right-hand peek. But I have another trick up my sleeve that is different from this one, that works even better. How it works is you get up on a ramp, but instead of editing out the top, which pretty much any good player will expect, you're going to want to edit out the side, build a wall here, a ramp, 2 ramps like this, and then 2 more walls as you jump up. This is going to give you a crazy amount of piece control. Your opponent will either end up under the ramps, kind of like Kazaki, or will end up behind it, in which you can just box them up, and boom, now you have piece control on them. At full speed, your opponent will be in front of you, taking your wall. It's okay if they do take it, because remember, you're editing out, building like this. They're going to be under your ramp. Hopefully you do not miss a shot like that, but then you can box them up, establish your own piece control, all while countering their piece control. Here is what it looks like to be the piece controller who's going to get counter piece control. They're going to try to take your wall. They might get it. Try to jump up. And now they're the one who's piece controlled. No, no. Kazaki knows too much. We must kill him. Third counter piece control tip I'm going to cover is the best way to approach box fights offensively. Something that Slay pointed out in his video is that the worst thing you can do while pressuring your opponent from above is to drop down on a ramp. This is because any good player will piece control you.
Bro, tremendo aimbot que tienen los bots.
There's no way to escape. There's actually a few
O
different
sea,
ways
tremendo
to approach this
aimbot.
that will all counter your opponent's piece control. What Slight and a lot of pro players do is they'll throw down random ramps, random cones. That way their opponent will not know which
Pinches
side
aimboteros
they're
de los.
dropping on, until of course they actually drop. And they're just really quick with it. And then on top of that, they'll almost always drop down on a cone, not a ramp. The cone is way more versatile. If your opponent tries to edit out and shoot you, you could edit this up. If they come out and try to piece control you, you can just do the booger trick, which is to build a wall to your left, edit out. You can even do what Slight does, which is build a cone in floor as he has this cone down. Then after his opponent edits out, he edits this up and comes right up on the top. There's basically no way his opponent can piece control him, all because of his counter piece control. Let's pretend I'm in a real game. I would throw some random ramps down. He has no idea where I'm coming down from. After, I would put a cone. After, I would put a cone, which I would drop down on. I then hit the wall, build this up like Booga does. Make sure I have my wall kind of like the first trick. This baby is here for counter piece control. And finally, turn my offense, or rather defense into offense. No matter how good your opponent is, if you are constantly establishing counter piece control, or just countering piece control, there is no way they're going to be able to piece control you. Oh my gosh! If you want to play it really, really safe, I would advise you not to drop down right in front of your opponent's wall. Even if you do the booger strat and you're really fast, it's much safer to just come diagonally and either do the Arkham strat, which is this, just build a wall and ramp, pressure it like that, or do what Kiriachi does, which is completely box yourself up and then pressure the wall. Once you have control of all of this stuff, there is no way for your opponent to control you. All they can do is just try to outbeat you, or for some reason throw mid. That was too much IQ! 300 IQ! In the end, regardless of which strategy you choose to use, you just want to make sure you are always establishing counter piece control, which is basically piece control. You see how even when he tried to piece control me, I still have a way to escape? That is the beauty of counter piece control. Oh my god! Fourth and final counter piece control tip works against the really useful high wall strategy that I learned from Reed. For those of you that do not know what the Reed high wall is, it's basically placing a wall above you. That way you can edit it and establish piece control on the guy that is behind it. The wall itself does not really block off your opponent, kind of like these walls. Rather, you build it because because it allows you to piece control whoever you block off with it. If you watch Reet, you'll see him use the high wall so much, he's always throwing up this extra wall just to see who he can catch with it. What you want to try to avoid when you get high walled is jumping. You do not want to jump. Whoever high walls you is going to place down this cone, and when you jump, they're going to wall you off, edit on you, and you're dead. Nothing you can do about it if you jump. The only problem with this is that, unlike the first one, it is really hard not to jump, because all you're going to see is this wall. You're going to think you can jump over it like I just did. Against a good player, you're not going to be able to. I'm telling you, it's never going to work. When you see a high wall, take my advice, edit out to the side. Boom. You have successfully counter piece controlled probably the best and most effective piece control method in the game. It just takes a lot of getting used to. Your opponent is going to think they put you in the montage with that high wall. They're going to edit it open, try to piece control you, but it's not going to work. Your opponent is unfortunately a Popagerian subscriber. They're also an Isgerian subscriber who listens and knows about counter piece control, and that anytime you see this high wall, it is a bad sign. Do not jump. Please do not jump. Build the wall, edit to the side, and boom. Counter piece control complete. To wrap up the video, I'll quickly talk about how you can practice counter piece control. The easiest and most effective way to start is just to go into creative like I showed, practice normal piece control, practice all the methods I just showed of counter piece control, and always keep in mind that you need to have an exit option because that is the most important part of counter piece control. Once you do that and you have all of these in your muscle memory, you want to go into a 1v1 or maybe a box fight. You can even go into the random creative zone wars, and again, pull out all of these counter piece control tricks. You really do not want to just hop straight into game because while you may have these down and you may think you know them, you want to practice on a real opponent, someone who actually knows what piece control is. That way in game, you will actually be able to pull them off. Start by free building, go into a 1v1, and finally go into arena or a tournament and make Popagerian proud. Overall guys, that is my complete guide on how to counter piece control. So if you enjoyed the video, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notification. Shout out to everyone on the screen for using code Jarian. I appreciate each and every one of you. I did not forget about the 1 mil PC giveaway. I'm still setting it up. If you want to mark it down on your calendar, I should have it out by next week, but I want to make sure that everything goes perfect, and I want to make sure the PC is really, really nice. Otherwise, that's it for me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later!
Hey, it's Jarian. I can't quite figure out how to piece control.
Yes, they were more so smaller pieces to larger videos like how to box fight or how to W key. So after seeing all of the piece control memes in my replies on Twitter, I'm not gonna lie, they are pretty funny. I thought it was about time that I make a full out piece control guide. Basically what I'm gonna do is explain what piece control actually is, show some examples of it, teach you guys some more advanced piece control techniques that I can almost guarantee none of you have ever seen before, and finally finish off with different ways how you can improve your own piece control. So I hope you're as excited as I am. I could literally talk about piece control forever. Without further ado, let's get right on into it. To start off, what the heck is piece control? Well, according to BallaTW, who actually coined the term, it is the act of owning nearby build pieces to control the fight. Let's take a look at two very basic examples to help you guys better understand it. Alright, so for the first example, we have Bucky. He just shockwaved onto high ground. He's about to build battle this guy. Gets a nice cone off, 2 walls, and an easy elimination. That is beautiful. Let me play this back in slow-mo really quickly. This way I can actually break down the piece control that went on. So the first thing we see is this cone right here. Let me pause it and circle the cone. That cone is going to prevent his opponent from going up. Pretty textbook stuff. Then we have this wall right here, which is really important because, as you'll see in a second, it allows him to edit it open and wall off his opponent on both sides. He gets this wall and this wall.
Pero mami, si yo no puedo jugar con el Minecraft de él.
Bucky took control of every building piece around him, 3 walls and a cone, and therefore gets rewarded with the E-Lamp. Here's another example, again from BBG Bucky. He's a top tier pro and box fighter. You see him take the wall, get off a nice pump shot, He unfortunately does not secure it, but due to his piece control, he ends up getting the kill. Now, the first bit of piece control we see is this move right here. He builds a wall, edits it open, places a cone, and all that does is prevent his opponent from editing out, because if he does, Bucky has the kill. So right after that, we saw the Mongrel Classic. This technically counts as piece control because he's building a stair instead of his opponent's cone, therefore taking control of a possible building piece. However, the real piece control is what happens after this, right as his opponent edits down. So he edits down, he builds 2 walls around him as well as a cone, and this allows him to edit the wall on the right, which he does have ownership of, for an easy elimination with the Mongrel Classic. This is different than your normal piece control because he's not necessarily blocking his opponent off. I know he kinda did with the ramp there, but the real piece control comes from the fact that he had ownership of the wall and he can then edit it open. As you just saw from those 2 examples, piece control is really useful. It helps you end fights faster, protect yourself when need be, and create opportunities for eliminations that you normally would not get. To put it simply, piece control is the meta in Season 4. It is what separates the average sweat who can build and edit fast from a top tier pro player that consistently places in tournaments. Any elite fighter you watch in Chapter 2 Season 4 is really good because of their piece control. Take Reed for example. Reed is a pro player that I've been showing in these clips with the focus skin, and while he's not the fastest builder or editor, he, in my opinion, has the best piece control in the world. Now, there are a lot of different tips I can give you to improve your piece control and to get it as good as Reed's. Some examples are staying aware of the grid system, predicting your opponent's next moves, and of course, watching its Jarian. The thing about that though is I feel like most of you guys know that stuff already. You're not Season 7 noobs who need your handheld with basic tips. What you need are pro building techniques to help you establish piece control that I learned from Reed. These are moves that he's perfected and crafted for months that I kinda stole after watching his videos. All of them have helped my piece control improve tremendously and hopefully will do the same for you. Before I get to any new ones, I quickly want to recap 3 of the techniques I showed in my W key video. These ones I technically saw first from Calc, but because Reed has better piece control, I'm gonna give him the clout this time. Seriously, let's get into some of these techniques. Up first, we're joined on board with young Calc, who is currently box fighting his opponent. I believe this clip is from last season, but even still, oh my gosh, that piece control is disgusting. In case you missed it, I will play it again really quickly. All you're looking for though, this cone that he placed right above his opponent's head, that ends up being the only reason he wins the fight so quickly. The way this move, which I'm gonna call the Calc cone, I know Calc did not discover it first. All the creative kitties got really mad at me when I said he did. All you do is put your crosshair right above the top of the wall, and if I place it, you can see it comes out on the other side of the wall, therefore establishing piece control on the guy over here. Say there's a guy on the other side of the wall, cone it, open it up, box him up for piece control, all because of that cone. Another use case, which I've seen from Calc in game, is he'll do a side jump, cone it, open it up, easy.
Llevo 11 años recorriendo el país, conociendo a miles de ecuatorianos.
Piece control. Second move, again.
Quiero apagar mi celular para jugar, ¿no? No, bro, 15. 17 kills en el vato, 17 kills. Bueno, es mejor que nada, ¿no? Flipas en creativo. Beto, Super Beto. BBC Joe. Yo creo que bajar con un poco de creativo, ¿no? Solito, por supuesto.
And from the young calculator can be seen in this clip. He's just box fighting the guy, going for different shots. The dude is being really annoying to kill. Luckily, Calc knows piece control and ends the fight much faster than he would without it. In my opinion, this is the best of the 3 basic piece control techniques because of how insanely versatile. It is. All you need to do is look to the right or left, depending on which side they edit out of, place a cone, a floor, jump up on it, edit through both, cone and walls on each side, and you get an easy elimination. I know I keep saying that, but I'm not kidding. Piece control makes everything so easy. Imagine you're in a box fight, you edit out, jump up, snap over, piece control like I just showed, and you get a free shot. This is probably the most fun technique to practice, so easy. Imagine you're in a box fight, you edit out, jump up, snap over, piece control like I just showed, and you get a free shot. This is probably the most fun technique to practice, and so easy. Imagine you're in a box fight, you edit out, jump up, snap over, piece control like I just showed, and you get a free shot. This is probably the most fun technique to practice because you're just editing and building, doing a little double edit. That is move numero dos. Third and final of the calc techniques, even though this clip is from my boy Reese. You can tell because he's wearing the vision skin. He's W King, desperately trying to kill this guy when he whips out the piece control and gets it like it's nothing. All of my hardcore viewers might be a little angry because that's not the exact one I showed in my video with Calc. The way I did it there was you build a wall next to your opponent, edit a window, quickly snap your crosshair up and down to place cones on the top and bottom, and finish off with 2 walls. The way Reet does it is he will stay on the unit in front of his opponent's box, look off to the left or right, place the wall, edit it open, and just place a cone there. Thinking about this now, I guess this is a little safer because if your opponent does not edit out this way, you did not waste these extra build pieces like Calc does. Plus, you can still pressure the front of their box, and if they do edit out, boom, boom, easy kill. Both moves are very, very good. It kind of just depends where your opponent is and how well you can read them. If I do not know where this guy is editing out from, put the wall, the cone, then I see him editing, finish it off like Calc. However, if I know for sure he's editing out this way, hit him with the original move, easy clap. Remember, those are the 3 piece control techniques that I showed last time. You all should already have that mastered. Let's now move on to the more advanced stuff. Back again with another Season 3 Calc clip. This one has a technique I want to show you guys. It's not new, there it is right there, but it's so useful. As you can see in slow motion, Calc is coming out of a high ground retake. When he does this staggered double wall 180, he gets a cone off in the middle of the second wall, then window edits the top wall, gets the guy with the piece control on the cone, and secures the elimination. This other example is from Reed. He's coming from the low ground this time. He gets off this ridiculous high wall, the cone again, not a window edit, but still, that move is ridiculous. This move is nothing new. I'm not saying it's new. However, most of the time, it's used in high ground retakes like that. You then open up the top wall, get piece control on the guy. The way Reed uses it though is why it's so insanely smart. Rather than trying to ramp over his opponent like most people would, Reed opts to go for this high wall like this. That way, from his opponent's POV, they'll be building up, thinking they have ownership of this wall. Reed already has this established, and can just edit it open, place a cone. And that just kind of goes to show how versatile this move is, because the way Reed used it was he was doing a cone jump, built 2 walls like that. Then because his opponent was here, Reed got off the cone and outplayed him, while the dude could not do anything. I think he tried to build a floor. That boost control, though, left him out to dry. Here is one final example of his high wall strat. I think he does it like 4 times in this clip, so you're really going to see how he uses it. Right there is one. Right there is another. He gets the cone. Right there is another. Another. I think that was 5 times. He actually did not get to catch the guy with it. All of those high walls, the guy just jumped to his death. He knows Reed is a piece control god. Second of the advanced piece control tricks, you can see in this fight from Reed, he goes for a shot. Nice protected retake. He again chops the guy out.
Bueno,
Goes
jefe,
for a sick
voy a
three-ball
irme porque
placement,
tengo que bañarme.